This episode is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 seller of games and gaming accessories. And GatheringMagic.com, the #1 resource for Magic the Gathering news and articles.
Hi, my name is Dan, and this is my Sen Triplets deck. So this deck started when I decided that I wanted to play something that resembled the Keeper build I used to play a lot in Vintage years ago. So I went with Sen Triplets, basically get me in the 3 colors I wanted, blue, white, and black, making sure I had access to counter spells, good removal, card draw, all the tutoring I was going to need. So let's start taking a look at stuff like the mana base here. So we start with some basics, 5 islands. There's going to be 3 swamps and 3 plains. I do run all 3 of the fetches just to make sure I can even my mana base out to get to the colors that I need, as well as running all of the shock lands for the colors. I am running the 3 dual lands as well. As you'll see, the deck is very color hungry. There's a lot of double colored spells or multiple colored spells, so you want to make sure that you're never stuck without the right color combination, especially early on in the game. So you want as many cards that will tap for 2 as they can. So I also have the M13 and the Innistrad duels in there. And there's just 2 of the bounce lands. I like them. It's nice getting that double mana influx at times, but you don't always want to have those, especially early on in the game. If you have 2 of them in your opening hand, it can be really tough to come back from tempo-wise. The Celestial Colonnade has been good, and again, it's another 2-color land. And as you'll see, a lot of the attacking that I need to do gets done in the air, so this is a nice way to get basically what comes out to an uncounterable creature that I can use a lot of times to finish the game off. Mystic Gate, another filter land, basically. Arcane Sanctum, getting me for all 3, and then obviously Command Tower, a must-have in any 3 multicolored deck for EDH. Getting into more of the utility lands, Temple of the False God obviously gives you a big boost. Strip lines there for problem permanents. Maze of Ith, obviously for problem guys. Tolaria West has been good. The come into play tapped ability is rough sometimes, but you really have it for the transmute, so you can go get your 0 drops, or to go get any land you need to tutor out, especially a lot of your lands that are deal with specific situations. You know, stuff like Bojuka Bog, if you need to get Strip Mine, or if you need to get the Maze, you can do that with Tolaria West. Academy Ruins will help you get back all of your artifacts. Cavern of Souls generally sets itself to Wizard. My creature base is highly Wizard, especially with a lot of my utility creatures, so not only do I want to be able to have them all come in uncounterable, it's nice later on you'll see there's a lot of ways to recur them in the deck, so that's also helpful. Riptide Lab does the same thing. It's going to help me bounce those guys so I can get better use out of their come into play abilities. And Urborg is going to let a lot of my lands that only tap for 1 color or colorless go ahead and tap for black, which will help out to smooth things out for the mana department. As far as the ramps concerned, I run 6 guys to kind of speed me up a little bit. Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Grim Monolith, Worn Powerstone, the Dynamo, and the Gilded Lotus. All those are there to help me just speed up a turn or 2. As far as card selection is concerned, I like top. It's been good for me. I wouldn't say that it's a must-play, though. It's been something I've been trying out over Brainstorm, because I didn't really like Brainstorm in this deck. It tended to be a brick a lot for me. So being able to look at the top 3 and, if necessary, grab one of them, kind of skipping your next draw has been good. I wouldn't say, though, it's been fantastic for me, and I definitely look to replace it if I found something better. Scroll Rack, on the other hand, has been incredible. Being able to put your whole hand back, especially if you have something like a tutor or a fetch land, has been great. Gets you really deep in your library to dig, so this has been a really good card for me. Phyrexian Arena, pay a life, get a card every upkeep is a great bargain. And Deep Analysis and Factor Fiction are basically just here for the influx of card draw that they give. Obviously, Deep Analysis a little slower at sorcery speed, but being able to flash it back is good. Same with Jace's Ingenuity and Opportunity, which I both play. 2 instant speed spells that are very good on the your opponent's end of turn. Stroke of Genius doesn't generally work as a win condition. The game would have to go pretty long for me because I don't have any kind of infinite mana combos. But it is nice to be able to get a huge influx of cards if I do hit a big turn or something like that. Getting into more of the pinpoint specific tutoring, we got Mystical, obviously, will get me any sorcery or instant. Vampiric will let me go ahead and get anything for 2. Grim Tutor will let me get anything again, as will Demonic. So 4 cards that'll kind of let me go ahead and get whatever specific answer or threat I need out of my deck. And as we get into answers specifically, we're going to kind of run through stuff I use for dealing with creatures and most problem permanents. So starting with Swords to Plowshares. Black Sun Zenith is good. It obviously lets you cycle itself back into the deck as long as it resolves. And it also has the extra benefit of if you can't kill everything on the board, at least the counters stick around. So you can make a lot of big creatures smaller and easier to deal with. Vindicate will let you hit any problem permanent on the board. And Wrath is the original sweeper. It's just too good not to play right now. The next 2, Abyss and Moat, are both inclusions that I have in here that I like a lot. They've been really good for me. But obviously they're not something that everybody can play with. There's a card that is similar from, I want to say it was reprinted in M12, that'll basically hit any non-zombie creature that will work a lot like Abyss that you can play. If you can't play Moat, any of the cost 2 more to attack enchantments can work to slow your opponents down. All you're basically looking to do here is have a steady way to remove a creature, or to slow your opponent down from attacking you, or to convince them to attack somebody else. Chroma's Vengeance will hit anything, creatures, artifacts, enchantments, whatever I need, and it also cycles in a pinch, so this has been a good addition for me. And Decree of Pain not only lets you cycle it so it can't be countered, and gives -2/2, but it also can wipe the board if you hardcast it and draw you a ton of cards. Getting into that counterspell suite, we start with Mana Drain, obviously one of the best counters ever printed, so this is an auto-include for me. Spell Crumple has been great. Problem Generals or problem cards, you can tuck them away. Dismiss has been good. I've kind of gone back and forth between Dismiss and Dissipate. Right now I like the fact that Dismiss replaces itself, but Dissipate is definitely a card that I've had in this slot before. Both have been good for me. Desertion, I know a lot of people have talked about before. It's great as a hard counter that also can steal stuff if it happens to be a creature or an artifact, so another great spell. Misdirection is here basically because I wanted a way to be able to bounce targeted card draw or extra turns around from my opponent to me. So this has been really good, especially later in the game. If you can hardcast it, it can be a really good surprise. And Force of Will, obviously, great free counterspell. So kind of looking now at more of the utility stuff. Just like Bojuka Bog, Torment's Crypt is in here to deal with graveyard strategies. A lot of the people I play with end up playing a lot of recursive decks, so you want to be able to, once you've dealt with something once, get rid of it, so you don't have to see it over and over again. Crystal Shard lets me recur a lot of my guys with come into play abilities, so you want to be able to use it on your own stuff, but you can also use it defensively if somebody taps out, or if you need to make them tap out, you can do that. Capsize obviously is just a catch-all. Anything that gets through that you can't deal with, as long as it's not hex-proof, you can bounce it back, and it buys back. Mindsaver is a card that I've had a lot of discussions about. I'm not sure that I love it, especially with Academy Ruins. It's good, but I don't know if it goes exactly with everything I want to do in the deck, and is a heavy, heavy mana investment that can a lot of times leave me tapped out, especially if I get a little too greedy when I cast it. Overall, if it goes off, it's great, but it is kind of a problem card sometimes. Bribery is awesome. Anything you've got, I can make it mine. And Pull from Eternity is in here for a little combo, basically. Anything, obviously, that exiles is going to be good. Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, all those will exile creatures. But this also lets me go ahead and basically work back with this combo with Time Twister and Time Spiral. And basically, Time Spiral is a Time Twister that's free, and it exiles itself. So I can pull from Eternity it, Time Twister it back, and kind of set up a loop where I never run out of cards, can always recur my library. So it not only lets me keep drawing, I never have to worry about decking myself, but I can also use Pull from Eternity to get creatures back if you've gone ahead and removed too many of my win conditions, or you know, anything else that happens to get exiled, I can get that back with Pull from Eternity. So Temporal Manipulation, I wanted a take another turn card, but I didn't want to be able to have my opponent go ahead and misdirect it back. So since this one doesn't target, you can't misdirect it, you have to hard counter it. And obviously Jace, he's alright. Army of the Damned has been basically another card that I've been working on. I don't know how much I like it yet, because obviously at 8, it's expensive. But if you untap with the 13 zombies, it's been really, really good for me. And it flashes back. So it's kind of one of those cards that's either really good or really, really bad. There's been no in between on it. So I definitely look and see if I could find a better replacement. I would definitely think about getting rid of it. A card that I would never get rid of is Phantasmal Image. It's been great for me. It'll copy a general, even if it's hexproof. It can copy the best guy on the table, whether it's yours or somebody else's. And it's really cheap. So great guy to have. Snapcaster Mage obviously will let you recur your spells. Vendilion Click you can use either offensively against your opponent and grab the best thing that they have in their hand, or a lot of times what you end up doing is you target yourself and you cycle a card out looking one deeper for an answer or a threat. Aven Mind Sensor has been an absolute workhorse. He flashes in and he prevents people from searching anything other than the top 4 cards of their library, any opponent. So if somebody goes to tutor or to fetch land, in response you can go ahead and flash him into play, and basically they're just stuck looking at the top 4 cards. So if they're not ready for it, it can be a great, great, great trick to play on someone. Venser obviously will bounce any kind of permanent that they have. If there's a problem with the spell in the stack, Venser can counter it. The only issue with him is it goes back into their hand, so you have to kind of play his timing right as you're using him as a counter spell. If they don't have enough mana in a card to cast it a second time, he's obviously good, but a lot of times you end up just using him as a bounce spell. Just like the Mind Sensor, Voidmage Husher has been great for me. It basically counters any kind of activated ability, and it flashes into play for 4. It's a 2/2 body. So when somebody's not expecting it, you know, if you can stop their Jace upkeep activation, or any activated ability, that's really good. But where it gets better is anytime you play a spell, you can bounce it back to your hand. So you can reuse this card over and over and over again. Especially if you get a loop with this guy in Capsize going, it's great. Restoration Angel, as you've seen a lot of come into play abilities. This card lets me kind of take advantage of it and reuse guys over and over again. And then I can bounce the Angel itself to get more use out of it. Karmic Guide lets me go ahead and recur any of my guys who've not made it through a fight. And again, with this guy, with Restoration Angel, there's a lot of tricks you can do. So you can reuse come into play abilities a lot, bounce your cards around, and get a lot of value out of a small number of creatures. Teferi kind of locks the board down, lets me know when it's going to be safe to counter stuff and to cast stuff, because I'll always know on my turn my opponents can't do anything, and my guys have flash, so now I can play them end a turn on theirs end. Obviously, Muldrifter, I like cards, so a creature that lets me play it, draw 2 cards, and then I can use the come into play ability again with a number of different creatures. Awesome. Consecrated Sphinx, really good. Don't have to say too much about that. Now we're kind of getting into, from the utility creatures, into more of the win conditions. Runescar Demon is really good. Obviously, it is a 6/6 body. He's a big enough guy to be a threat. But the ability to Demonic Tutor with him is fantastic, especially if you can kind of cheat with his ability, reuse him, Restoration Angel, and bounce him. He's been really good. And obviously Angel of Despair is pretty much Vindicate on a 5/5, so that's been excellent for me as well. Memnarch lets you steal artifacts or make guys artifacts to steal. So late game, this can be a huge, huge boost. Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Probably half the abilities printed are on this card. And I mean, it's an artifact, so it also is going to get around the Abyss. Chroma, one of my favorite creatures ever. If one of the abilities isn't on Sphinx of the Steel Wind, it might just well be on a Chroma. Again, it's a card that protects itself, has evasion, gets around Abyss. And finally, Blightsteel Colossus. There's been a lot of times where this card wasn't in the deck because I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But basically, I decided that a lot of my games end up going long. So you do want a way sometimes to just finish the game off. And there's not a lot of guys who do it better than this guy. And finally, my last card, as my namesake is on Twitter, is a Chaos Orb. I do run it. My playgroup is okay with it. So obviously, since it is banned, it won't work for everybody. But it's been my favorite card for years, so I've always wanted to play it. So wasn't able to say no to it. When I do leave my playgroup and play somewhere else, it usually gets replaced by this guy. I play in Treat the Angels. Again, it's another win condition. Miracle has been fantastic. It's been really, really good. And you can get a ton of Angels cheap on the draw, you know. So hopefully there's a lot of things in here that you liked. There's a lot of cards that are in flux now, though. So if you do have questions or comments, I'll give me my information momentarily, and we can talk about it later. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach me on Twitter at ChaosOrbFTW. And as always, please remember to favorite and subscribe.